you and I, Heath, we agree on so much and we disagree on so much. So it's like it's not like this is just the Admiration Society where we're just going to sit here and tell each other like for example, you've been very critical of IP films. You made it a video earlier this year where you said you weren't even going to go see a lot of these movies on the first week of release.
Yeah.
To send a message, which I totally got where you were coming from for there. That pissed a lot of people off. But no, I got it. I understood what you were saying, where you were coming from.
Well, hey, if all you watch is IP and someone goes, I'm not supporting this stuff for the first. By the way, such an ineffective thing to do, by the way. The more I thought about it, I was like, well, a week, what does it matter? So I broke that for Beetlejuice because I wanted to go see it. And like, well, can they recapture that lightning in a bottle? And people were like, what are you doing? Actually, I did put a poll out before I did it. It was like, should I go see Beetlejuice week 1? And more people said yes. I was like, I'm just going to do it. It's going to do it and go have a good time. And somebody commented and they're like, you should go see these movies in the first week of release. What are you, allergic to views or something like that? And I was like, it's a good point, right? Like, why would I cut off? Like, hey guys, don't come to the channel for this. But anyway.
Well, my feeling has been, and I know this is somewhere where you and I differ, post-pandemic, I kind of feel like the state that we're in with cinema is we got to get butts in seats. There's so many people who are willing to stay home and just sit in front of their TVs and wait for these things to stream. And I want the theaters to stay alive so we can keep getting movies out to theaters in the future. And I think the perfect short-term solution to that is basically the Bob Iger plan of, when Bob Iger came back, the first thing he did was greenlight like 25 sequels that are guaranteed like almost like $1 billion movies. Like, we're going to do Toy Story 5. We're going to do Frozen 3. We're going to do another Ray Skywalker movie. We're going to do, and he just like went down the list of what was everything we had that made $1 billion last time. Let's do it again. And there's a cynical side that says like, well, geez, where's the original stuff? But I kind of feel like anything that gets the people back in the theaters, if they have a good time, if they have a good time, maybe, just maybe they'll get back into the habit of going to the movies. And then they'll be like, all right, now I'm willing to branch out. Now I'm willing because I'm liking this. I'm back in the habit. I'm back in the habit of going and sitting down with the crowd. And I've regained that love. So I kind of think it's a good strategy. I don't only want those movies, but I think if that can keep the pulse going until we can reawaken that love of cinema in people, I don't know. I kind of think it's a pretty good idea.
I don't, but okay. I mean, I hear you. I mean, it didn't work. We did it. They did it. It didn't work. People went to see Deadpool and Wolverine, and they saw Inside Out 2, and they're like, that's it. You got me 2 times. I'm staying home the rest of the year. And all these great movies have come out. Some of them have been tentpole movies. Some of them have been IP, but most people just stayed home. And when you go, guys, Fall Guy was great. Fall Guy's an IP movie. I love it. I think it's a fantastic movie. It feels fresh. It feels really original. I'm seeing this movie opening day in a theater with like 5 people, talking to the people on the way out of the movie. Like, wow, did you like the original TV show? I'm like, yes, I did. What did you think about this? And then I come make a video about it. People are like, ew, why, what's wrong with you? It's this weird attitude where it's not just like, I'll wait on that. It's like, how dare you? Like, what are you seeing this stuff for? That's there's an attitude. There's a stink on 2024.
There is, I think part of the problem is that it's really fun. And I think you get a lot of comedy out of being negative, right? And I think that's where these channels have sort of grown. I sort of liken it to, I almost call it the red letter media effect. Even though I love that channel and I love those guys, it's a fact they're the best when they're just ranking on a movie, right? And I think a lot of people were inspired by that. And I think that's taken its toll now to the point where it's like literally everyone can only talk about a movie if it's in a negative light, because that's how they're the most entertaining. And it makes sense too, because if you have like a really good movie, you're just immersed in the movie, right? You're just immersed in it. If you're watching a terrible movie with a group of friends, it's way more interactive. It's just way more fun. I think that's one route. I guess I could lead this to a question. How would you get your audience excited for a movie outside of just one positive review? Because that seems to be it. How do you get, like, with bad movies, there's memes. You know, I have tons of memes of Madam Web. I love Madam Web, right? Because it was such a train wreck for me that, you know, I get a lot of leeway with just a lot of lines that I put as memes, all this stuff. Like you can't really do that with positive films. I mean, you sort of can in Twitter, but so how would you attack that angle?
Is that for me?
Yes, you specifically.
If I knew that, man, if I
Yeah.
could answer that question, we'd be
Yeah.
having a different conversation. I
Mhm.
cannot seem this year, all year, I've tried to get people excited about it. I've tried reviews. I've tried like joyful, like I love the movie The Bike Riders. The Bike Riders continues to be my favorite movie of 2024. I just
Mhm.
connected with it. And I cannot get some people get excited about it, but there's a disconnect now. To the point that I have now decided, like, look, I'm wasting too much energy trying to get you guys to follow me. So this is the direction I'm going. If you want to come, here I go. If not, see you around. I mean, whatever. Like, it's not working for whatever reason. Every single movie that I talk about is met with hostility. Every single one.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask Heath, what movies? So Bike Riders was one of the examples of a really good movie that no one saw. What are some other examples of movies that you think really people didn't reward? But I want to see that movie. I was looking forward to that movie, but it got delayed and kicked to another studio. And I think part of the reason with that one is the marketing and where it got skipped along to somewhere else. May have hurt that a little bit. But what are some other examples of movies? Like, because I've been going to some movies this year. I don't know.
Max, I can answer right off the bat. Perp and I have been singing the praises of I Saw the TV Glow for months now.
It's on Max. It's on Max.
I still haven't checked that one out yet. No, I should.
Kneecap is really good. It's one of the craziest movies I've ever seen.
Okay.
Kneecap.
Blink Twice. Blink Twice is this year's The Sixth Sense.
Oh, really?
It's a Shyamalan movie that's not by Shyamalan, and it's so fresh. And when I reviewed it, people were like, "Oh, it was Zoe Kravitz is a nepo baby, and it's woke and all this stuff." Like, you haven't even seen it. It's again immediate hostility.
Well, here's one of the things I think could help out. I think following trends, following careers does help out. Like for Zoe Kravitz specifically, I thought I liked Blink Twice a lot. I was actually incredibly surprised at how good her direction was, and I think you could sort of. And I know you don't. I'm not asking you to do that, but one of the things I would see, it's like it would be kind of interesting now. You know, people love her in the Batman as Catwoman. There's a Penguin show. People are talking a Catwoman show. It'd be great if she was like, now she's a director, maybe she could helm that. Like you could transfer, I think, stuff like that, where I think you could get the audience's attention with the IP while still talking about like the interesting movie, and maybe even get them interested in that movie because that actor that they like in the interesting IP is like the director of like something like Blink Twice, you know? And I think, and I don't think it's far off to think, oh, Zoe Kravitz is definitely going to direct other stuff that is going to be IP, you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll give you another one. And Perp and I were just talking about this on a stream the other day. Another one of my favorite. By the way, all my favorite movies this year were originals. Like, I put Anthony Cheeseman's comment up there. You can only milk so many IPs. Eventually, they got to do something original. That's the point. This year, there's a lot of originality. There's a whole lot of original stuff. And guess what? No one's going to see it.
Yeah.
We were talking about another original film, one of my favorites of the year, My Old Ass. My Old Ass was really, really good, really emotional film. How many people saw that? I don't know. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but it was fantastic.
Nobody saw it.
Yeah.
Nobody sees anything anymore, Joe.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and once again, my leeway of talking about that is like, yo, what an amazing month Aubrey Plaza's having with Agatha, and then you could sort of transition into that, where it's like, everyone, please look up My Old Ass, because Aubrey Plaza is gonna get, some award contention, hopefully, at least Indie Award contention.
I'll be honest, I'm not as well versed with these movies as you guys are.
Yes.
I don't even remember seeing trailers for these ones.
That brings me.
That's
thank
the thing,
you, Max.
That's the thing on my end
This
here.
is what.
There's movies here. I do remember Blink Twice, and I'm surprised by that Heath said that one, because horror fans usually are the exception. They usually go support most new projects. So I'm surprised that one didn't do well. Especially,
I think it did. I think it did fine. I think it profited. It was like a 9 million, probably like 15.
It's just a low budget. Hopefully, it was a low budget movie. It made a profit.
Yeah, I thought First Omen bombed, and then I found out, oh no, it made like 300. I was like, oh crap! Like, it's very difficult for these horror films. That was a studio horror film too. But yeah, thank you for mentioning that. One of the things I think is a big problem. Like, I'm seeing this as more of a virtue signal and just like a talking point than anyone really thinking about it. I've seen a lot of, I care about story. This sucks. I just want a good story, right? That seems to be the argument a lot of the times. I just want a good story. I just want a good story. I just want a good story. I think there's something with the audience that they're skipping a step, right? I think audience members are skipping a step nowadays. And that is the intent of what exactly kind of story are you looking for? Because if you just want a good story, it's like, okay, and you want the opportunity to shove it into Hollywood. You're not producing good stories, Hollywood. You should probably wait until the Oscar nominees, best screenplay, right? And there you could really give it to Hollywood. Hey, you're not providing the good shit. None of those people are doing that. When they're talking about good story, they're talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. I want a good story, Deadpool and Wolverine. It's like,
which, by the way, doesn't have a good story.
Exactly.
It just has a lot of references.
They're skipping a step. And I think that step is intent, right? I think intent. What exactly are you looking for? For me personally, I've made it very clear of what I look for in my films. And it's already obvious. Good story, obvious. That should be obvious. Guess what, guys? Every filmmaker thinks they have a good story. Every filmmaker wants to have a good story. Even the really shitty ones, right? They think, I'm going to try to make this a good story. Even if it's really bad, it's a B movie, it's just an action, whatever. They still want a good story. It's the same thing.